Oh, I'm sorry. Could you give your name and where you're from, please?
Sure. Yep. I'll read it out in front of you. So, where I'm coming from is not where we exactly are, but I'll be quoting some folks who know a lot more about wolves than I will, because I just read their books. You know,
Yeah,
and
there
I
you
don't
go.
believe it's quite so hard. Am I, oh, this is pretty,
There
good.
you go.
Okay, well, I keep reading books. And one of the books I'm most fond of is Leopold's Salem County Almanac. And you all probably have read that because, after all, he's the father of wildlife management in North America. And a very brief quote is that he urged us to keep every cog and wheel if we were going to tinker with ecosystems. Well, along that line, I was thinking during this process of all this intensive work about how we could address CWD. The little phrase, an ounce of prevention, kept flashing in my head. And the other thing that my mother used to say was, a stitch in time saves 9. Well, all of those things have sort of coalesced into the comments I'm going to offer here. It seems to me that we should be considering the services that wolves provide. And by the way, this is in the paper that was the last one that Mike Miller referred to. This is Wild et al. The role of predation in disease control. And Wild et al. Concluded, we suggest that as CWD distribution and wolf range overlap in the future, wolf predation may suppress disease emergence or limit prevalence. And by the way, my background, really where I'm coming from, is 36 years in the national parks. And I started, strangely enough, at Rocky Mountain National Park. And that's where Tom Hobbs did a model analysis of effects of wolf predation on prevalence of chronic wasting disease in elk populations. So we have some background and some suggestions from there. Well, Bruce Smith, in his book, Where Elk Roam, he's the guy that was for 22 years, the elk biologist on the National Elk Wolf Refuge. Warns us of the danger of concentrating elk, certainly on feed grounds, because of 2 serious diseases, brucellosis and chronic wasting disease. He observed that Wisconsin had spent $27 million depopulating its white-tailed deer to curb CWD. And at the time of his writing, no CWD had been detected where wolves lived in Wisconsin. That may have changed. Has that changed?
The one place in the northwest, there's wolf nearby there, yes.
Okay. Well, so he goes on to trace the inexorable march of CWD across Wyoming, which we've seen well illustrated here. And he says that recent modeling suggests that wolf predation may suppress CWD emergence in deer. Wolves and other large carnivores, I think, because I've been studying them for the last 30 years, are essential to the health of ecosystems. I watched it in Yellowstone, where I was the principal educator on about wolf recovery during 1980 through about 1997. And then I taught wolf courses for the Yellowstone Institute for another 8 years. So wolves have been shown to be capable of reducing or eliminating the spread of brucellosis and chronic wasting disease. And I cited Hobbs et al. And then Wild et al., including Mike Miller, and in part by reducing density and group sizes of elk and deer. Wild et al. Concluded We suggest that as CWD distribution and wolf range overlap in the future, I said this a minute ago, that wolf predation may suppress disease emergence or limit prevalence. Cross et al. 2010 wrote, the data suggests that enhanced elk-to-elk transmission in free-ranging populations may be occurring due to larger elk aggregations. Elk populations inside and outside of the greater Yellowstone ecosystem that traditionally did not maintain brucellosis may now be at risk due to recent population increases. And what I've observed, and by the way, I'm a former elk hunter, so I don't have any beef with hunting. We risk losing wolves' essential ecosystem services by continually inventing new ways to reduce their numbers to a socially acceptable minimum. And that's what I've been watching, and I'm a member of the Citizens Advisory Committee for Region 3, by way of approved introduction. The goal of wolf management might better be to establish ecologically effective populations of wolves. And another set of authors, Lee et al., 2012, offered that suggestion. Wherever the absence of conflicts with livestock make that feasible. Well, we've seen that chronic wasting disease could indeed wipe out our elk and deer. Tom Hobbs writes that increasing mortality rates in diseased populations can retard disease transmission and reduce disease prevalence. Reduced lifespan, in turn, can compress the time interval when animals are infectious, thereby reducing the number of infections produced per infected individual. Results from his simulations suggest that predation by wolves has the potential to eliminate CWD from an infected wolf population. So I don't suppose that is a very popular suggestion and won't be very well received by many hunters, but it turns out that, and I've been monitoring this very carefully, that our elk populations in Montana simply continue to grow. And our elk harvest in Montana, Wyoming, and Idaho simply continue to grow. And so I'm not terribly worried about our hunting heritage in the presence of wolves that were here a few tens of thousands of years before us. Thank you.
Thanks, Norm.
You bet.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate the opportunity, guys.
John, we have one coming.